is today we have really the privilege of learning more about one of the largest and most profitable teams in Canada. And behind the success of this team, a very important person that I'm so grateful for her to be here today. It's a beautiful woman, strong, smart, successful, and she agreed to be with us today and answer quite a number of questions. And I know, Holly, you're not feeling the best today. Her name is Holly Chris. For anyone that knows Holly, because when I sent out the invitation for this Zoom, I received so many comments from team leaders knowing who Holly is and how amazing she is. And I know, Holly, you're not feeling the best today. Thank you for taking
It's okay.
time with us.
Yes. So just bear with my coughs and my raspy voice. I had a bit of a sick weekend, so I will try and mute myself when my coughing little fits come on. So thank you for bearing with me.
Thank you for being here, and we can listen to you regardless of your voice. Hope that you can talk to us today. So before we start, because I put together a number of questions to ask you, which I know that they're questions that a lot of team leaders are interested in finding out answers on them. I just give us a little bit of a feedback on you for anyone that doesn't know your story, and how you end up actually at Golfy Team, and a little bit about Golfy Team. What's their production last year, how big it is, and so on. If you can give us some feedback, that would be fantastic.
Perfect. Yeah. So I'm actually not a licensed agent, which surprises many people that I chat with, although I kind of feel like I've kind of earned my certificate by proxy, I suppose. So my background's all in sales. I worked for Metroland Media Group, which was part of Torstar for over 15 years. I was an advertising sales rep. And then at the end of my career there, I was the regional director of sales for the Halton region. So I basically managed sales teams that were selling advertising to local businesses. So Rob, at that time, actually way back when I was 18 years old, I was his advertising sales rep for the local real estate news. So he knew me when I was quite young, and then probably 10 years went by that we didn't connect once I moved on to different roles. But a mutual friend of ours back in 2019 had lunch with Rob, and Rob was saying, I'm really looking for a sales manager right now. I feel like I've been stuck at, and at that time he'd been stuck at 700 transactions for 3 years. So he'd been stuck so he'd done incredibly well. Like Rob had built this business without me. So he did really well before I even came along. But he just felt that he was kind of at this moment where he was really stalling. And where he felt he was really stalling was he was working harder, not smarter at that time. The agents, the accountability wasn't there. The CRM was really just being used as a quick drop in, as like a Rolodex in a sense, just to look at that initial phone number, and agents never went back again. So he was just really working so hard to just keep bringing that lead back in over and over and over again, versus the agents adopting more of a nurture mentality. So he knew it was time to bring in a sales manager. He did not want that person to be licensed, because he did not want there to be like a conflict of interest there and a conflict of focus in a sense. So that mutual friend of ours said, do you remember Holly, who used to be your advertising rep? And he's like, yeah, I think so. And he's like, well, she's basically doing that now at Metroland. You should talk to her. So I had worked at Metroland since I was 18, and I didn't even have a resume. Like I had no thoughts of leaving. I just kind of was, I'm like a loyal person. So I just was thinking I would retire there one day and work there for 40 years. So when he reached out, I'm like, okay, he's like, can you send me a resume? All right, I got to put something together, sent it off, and we had a conversation. I was very nervous. Like I was like, I have a pension, I have benefits, I have seniority here. Like it doesn't seem like a very good, smart idea for me to take this leap of faith into this role that has never existed before, in an industry that is a little volatile at times. So I was scared. But I was also at a point where I had a 2 and a 4-year-old, 2 boys, and they were the first ones dropped off at daycare in the morning and the last ones picked up. My work-life balance was not there at all. I felt like I was seeing them for like 45 minutes a day before bedtime. And so that was basically what eventually tipped this. Like, I was not like, yay, I'm excited to join the golf team. I was excited for the opportunity. But for me, I was mostly excited for more time with my kids because Rob said, hey, you can have a flexible work environment. I want you to be able to pick them up, walk them to school, pick them up from school every day. As long as you get your work done, I'm cool with that. So I couldn't, pass that up at that time. So that was in October of 2019. In January of 2020, we took a road trip to Nashville to see a Chuck Black event, a John Chuck Black event. And we started coaching with him right after that. And I would say that's kind of like the pivotal moment, like that, those first, few months, I was kind of just getting my feet wet. And then as soon as we started coaching with Chuck Black, it was like literally tanks and tanks of gas were poured on the fire, and it just blew up from there. So now my work-life balance, I wouldn't say is like exactly what I dreamt of way back when, but I do still have the flexibility to be wherever I need to be and still be supporting my kids and my family.
Amazing. Amazing. And what exactly is your role within the team?
So my title is Director of Sales. I would say my actual role of what I do is probably does not all fall under that. We operate on a system called EOS, if anybody's heard of it, Entrepreneurial Operating System. EOS is not designed specifically for real estate. All sorts of businesses worldwide are successful in EOS. So we adopted EOS a little over 2 years ago. And so I'm the integrator, which is technically like COO-ish. So I do COO/director of sales type roles for the team.
Yeah, it's actually was actually the first question that I have it for in my notes here to ask you what kind of a business model. And for anyone that's familiar, that's great. EOS, it's quite familiar amongst large and mega teams. Rockefeller is another one, very common. If you can guys mute yourselves, that will be fantastic.
About selling, yeah, people know realtors.
Yeah, if you're interested in the industry in some way, like if you're interested in
I don't know who's here that is not muted talking on the phone, that would be fantastic because I can't find you. Yeah, I think they're muted now. Okay.
There, you're good now.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Okay, so you're working under EOS. Guys, I highly recommend to look into it. It's something that really changes your entire operation system of a team. And as Holly, you said, it's actually not designed initially for real estate, but works really wonders with real estate teams.
So prior to I think it was 2 years in of me being on the team that we embarked on the EOS journey. Before that, we were doing great things, and we were doing we were doing a lot of amazing things. It felt like we had structure, and we saw all these big teams like embarking on EOS or deep into EOS, and we're like, we should probably get like that one free discovery consultation. Like, what do we have to lose, right? He's going to come out for a couple of hours, analyze our business, and tell us where we're going wrong. It's not going to cost us anything. We were very, very humbled at that meeting. So we left that meeting being like, okay, we suck. Like, we have a lot to tie up. Like, we are a hot mess right now, basically. And so we went into it very confidently, thinking that we had our shit together, and left that meeting saying, okay, we're wrong. And honestly, 2 years later, I really can't imagine. I don't even know how we operated before it, because we are just live so religiously by it. So for anybody who's not super familiar, what EOS does is it gets the entire organization like on the same page with your vision. So you know exactly what you're doing and why and when, basically. And then everybody is working, has a lot of accountability and responsibility to those different goals that you've set, and that's the traction. So there's the book called Traction, So if you want to learn basically about EOS, you can buy the book Traction by Gene Wickman. And then through Traction, you'll learn the whole EOS model. And one of the elements of the EOS model is the accountability chart. And two very important roles on the accountability chart are the visionary and the integrator. So the visionary is like the CEO, the team leader, basically the Rob. And that visionary, that would be, there's like lots of questionnaires and things like that that you can take online as well to see if you are a better fit as a visionary or an integrator. And so a visionary would be someone who's like that big thinker, loves those big projects, loves moving quickly, doesn't like getting down into the weeds, likes making big decisions and moving fast. The integrator is more of that organizer, that like, whoa, let's do it right. Let's, understanding that the rollout is so important. Visionaries who roll things out sometimes roll them out too quickly and messy. And I often say that an idea is only as good as the rollout of that idea. So that's where the integrator comes in to say, hang on, let's launch it in a week. We're still launching it, but let's launch it in a week when we have all of our ducks in a row so that it's well received to the rest of the team. So that integrator and visionary relationship, sometimes there can be a little bit of friction sometimes because you're battling against that visionary wants to move forward, that integrator is slowing it back. So the book Rocket Fuel is a book all about the relationship between the visionary and the integrator and how you guys work it together. And this EOS model, it doesn't have to be just for big mega teams. Like I would, I really should, I have not yet, but I should really like EOS my life, like my personal life as well. If I had, kind of taken similar principles and done it, in my home, like with my family, I would have great success. And I know that Mark Ferris, his team runs on EOS as well. And I've heard him speak before, and he didn't speak about EOS, but he was talking about, I know he operates on EOS, and he was talking about his family and how they have family core values, and they've got things that they're going to, like these rocks that they're going to do in the next 90 days and things like that. And I was like, oh, he's EOS his family. That's very smart.
Yeah.
I love that. So
we had him. Yeah, sorry to interrupt you. We had him as at the Connect Hub as one of our speakers, and we went through all of these questions.
Okay.
It's so true that, and he also had like a full presentation on how he runs his team. And it's funny you mentioned that he took this model and apply it all, not only for his business, but for his life. And it's so true that this model, it puts an order and designates specific timelines and specific roles of all partners, either in life or in business. So yes,
for sure.
100%.
I know you have a lot of questions. Last thing I'll say on this is if you are interested in exploring it, you don't need, like we have an EOS coach. They are quite pricey. But you don't need an EOS coach to do EOS. I know many teams operating on EOS just on their own, and you just have to be very, very committed and disciplined to do it. And then there's also a software that you could use to track your EOS. Like basically you could put everything in and live in it. It's called 90, NINETY.io. So 90.io is what we put all of our rocks in there, our VTO, which is our vision traction organizer, our accountability chart, that's all in that system. And it's very inexpensive. I think it's like $13 a user or something like that.
It's funny you said that, because I have it in my next question was what software you're using. And if you just keep talking because you're answering all my questions.
Oh, that's funny.
So it was here, what software and technology you're using, what's platforms and what CRM. And if you can go a little bit deeper onto that would be good.
Yeah, so as I said, 90 is how we manage our operations. Basically, that's like all of our goal setting, accountability chart, all of our rocks. Rocks are 90-day goals. Sorry, I don't want to like go too deep into certain things, but rocks are really important. And like, does everybody here already know like why they call them rocks? Or
I,
no?
I use it, but I would love everybody else
Okay.
to know, so
Sure.
we can.
So rocks, why they call them rocks is if you've got a jar, like an empty jar, and if you say that, okay, the rocks are the most important things that need to be done in the next 90 days, the pebbles are the things that are important, but not too crazy important. And then the sand or all this little stuff that like gets us all distracted all the time. So if you took that jar and you put the rocks in, like you filled it with rocks, and I asked Andrea, does this jar look full? Andrea would look at it and be like, yeah, it looks full. You can't get any more rocks in there. Oh, well, hang on a sec. Then I pour the pebbles in and then, you know, shake it around, fill in those gaps. And I'll say, Andrea, does this jar look full? Yeah, it looks pretty full now. Can't get any, you know, more pebbles in. Then I take that bucket of sand and I pour the sand in, and now I can fit the big things, the medium stuff, and the little things in that jar all at once. Whereas if I went the opposite and I put the sand in first, there wouldn't be room for the pebbles or the rocks. So it's really important for us each quarter to make, and day for that matter, to make sure we're doing the most important things that we can first, and then filling in with all the rest of that stuff. So that's why they call them 90-day rules. Okay, sorry.
No
Other
worries.
stuff.
I think it's very important. And we have a question here. If you can spell the name of the software that you're using, that would be great.
I'll put it into the chat.
And the chat, yeah, if you can put it in
yeah.
the chat, that would be great.
IO. There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So what's the
okay, so
what's the CRM that the team is using right now for example, for leads, not for operation side, when I'm talking about the agents?
The leads. Yeah. We use Follow Up Boss. We're very deep into Follow Up Boss, very committed to it. Happy with how things you know, operate in Follow Up Boss. So if you're not on Follow Up Boss, it's worth trying that one out. You know, we have lots of different integrations, and Follow Up Boss is really supportive of all the things that we generally try to do. For tracking our deals, we use a system called Sisu, SISU. It's sort of pricey, so I don't think it's like an absolute necessity, but it became a necessity for us because we were just at this point where we were using an Excel spreadsheet for the longest time. But as we were adding and removing agents, obviously then there's this like fear of, you know, it being broken. And so we just couldn't trust it as well anymore, which is why we had to kind of bite the bullet and go on to a system like Sisu. Operationally, we also function in Monday.com, very deep into Monday.com. We use a lot of forms in Monday. Monday is a project management software, but things like, okay, if an agent needs to order a sign, they basically click on a link, do this quick sign order through a Monday form. That Monday form goes into the Monday board, who multiple people within our operations have access to, and that info kind of gets dispersed. If somebody, we have this cool system, like we just recently updated how, our team is doing like between 35 and 50 sometimes open houses every weekend. So it got a little bit like insane of, okay, this open house is available, this one's taken, oh, is this one still, like it was kind of confusing. So now we also use another Monday form where agents will, they'll submit the open houses that are available. And even from like a brokerage standpoint, this could be something that you guys consider, so that brokerage open houses are offered up and then people can pick them up. Anyways, they submit the Monday form. And then if somebody, so there's a separate fill in for submitting it. And then there's a separate view that's like this card view for picking one up. So then you can look at, you know, the dozens of open houses that are offered and snag one. Now, when you snag that, the cool thing about Monday is once you fill out that form to accept it, that goes to multiple people. So from that, our agent doesn't have to let marketing know that we need this, let the listings know that we need it updated on MLS, let, you know, the sign guy know this, like it all goes to all those people at once. So it's very like kind of like one form magic in a way, to get multiple people in the loop at the same time. So Monday is great for that sort of thing. We also use Monday for our events. So if anybody has attended any of our Win in Any Market events or anything like that, you filled out a form to register. That form is a Monday registration form that goes into a board. From that board, we're able to export that board and into Excel and then do like the name tags. So there's lots of like smart work that you could do in that. Yes, the name is monday.com. So some other similar property management tools are like Asana and stuff like that. So we got onto Monday probably around that EOS time. So it's probably been about 2 years that we've been on Monday. We had no idea how to work it before. Like we just knew we needed something because Excel was just not working for us anymore. And we just went on, have you guys heard of the site udemy.com? Udemy.com. It's just this like site with like a million courses on it. And so we just did like a basic and advanced monday.com course that cost like, I think $30 or something on there. And we felt that was enough to get fired up with it. And now like we've definitely grown and gotten a lot smarter and more advanced, but yeah, like Monday it's deep now. So then that's for our operations. What other systems we use? Okay, we're currently looking for suggestions for this next one because we, from a collaboration standpoint, operate in Workplace. It's a meta product. Workplace is great because it has a knowledge library. Basically, there's different chats. So that's where we communicate internally. But the Meta is discontinuing it. So we need to find a new platform. So I'm not excited about that because we have like an insane amount of content on there. So yeah, currently don't go to Workplace because you will.
Slack is very popular.
Slack popular for the chat, right?
The chat purpose, yes.
Yeah, so I need something. I need like basically a Slack and Kajabi together.
Yeah.
Like I
hear you.
Yeah. So any developers out there need to develop something really, before next summer when Workplace is no longer. We need a solution.
What lead generation are you using to as a team? Do you provide leads to your team?
Sorry.
No worries.
So our lead generation is mostly, okay, so Rob has a very substantial marketing budget, obviously, millions of dollars a year into marketing. Our
how much?
number,
sorry, I couldn't hear you. How much per year in marketing?
like millions, like 3 million plus, would be a year in marketing. So obviously, we are bringing in a significant amount of leads. For us, we look in some cases for quality over quantity at times. Like, most of that $3+ million budget is going out to, billboards, buses. Do I have a copy up here? I don't know if anybody's in our market, but we just launched a new magazine this month. So if you go to, I'll find the site because it's, I'll send it to you after, Andrea, and then you can maybe kick it out to them as a digital copy of our newsletter. So we have our direct mail, our buses, our billboards, our radio, our TV. That stuff brings in the call-ins, and those call-ins, we're spending a crazy amount of money on that sort of thing to get a smaller amount of leads, but they're a higher quality lead, so more likely to transact. Now, if we took that same budget and put it into, Facebook ads or all, some of these other different lead generators, like we would literally get thousands and thousands and thousands of leads, but not necessarily the same level of quality. So the call-ins would be one part. And then our lead gen is, honestly, it's quite simple. We've got all of that outdoor kind of advertising, traditional advertising methods, and then a significant investment in SEO and Google advertising and stuff like that. So a lot of leads come in through robgolfi.com.
To the SEO. Beautiful.
Yeah, like we don't do a lot of Facebook ads or anything like that.
No Facebook ads. Okay. So you basically a lot of your advertisement it's generating listings. Is that what I'm hearing?
We actually generally, like, aside from naturally like promoting our listings, we don't advertise to buyers aside from promoting the listings that we have, like in our magazine and
Yeah.
stuff like that. All of our marketing is seller directed, is geared to sellers. And that is kind of the model of the team. And that's, you know, when it comes to lead distribution and things like that, as far as how those leads are going out, it is very important to us to really match make that seller lead with the perfect agent, because it's critical that that agent signs that listing, because signing that listing is going to feed the rest of the team with those buyer leads. So that whole list to last mentality to make sure, okay, yes, we're bringing in these seller leads. That's great. We got to make the most of them. We have to be closing those leads.
Yeah. I really like that we mentioned that, because there's teams and teams, and there's teams that they're predominantly focusing on buyers through online leads. And then there's teams that are going towards more traditional advertisements, such as billboards, flyers, and so on, that are more directed to sellers. So I like that, because one of the things that was mentioned by Mark Ferris, which is also a mega team, is that they're also directed towards sellers.
Right. Now on the buyer end, like I mentioned earlier, we have like the agents are not just encouraged, they're very motivated to be running regular open houses. At those open houses, like we have an open house chat. So every weekend, like people, you know, will put in their success. 3 groups, you know, in Fawn Hill, 4 groups at Glengarry, 8 groups in Dundas, 6 groups in Ham. Like, so basically you've got these leads coming in. So we could be bringing in 100 buyer leads just on a Sunday, right?
Yeah.
And then another 100 the day before on the Saturday. So, and these are the agents. So we train the agents on, like, there's obviously different levels of open house. You know, so we'll have some agents that run them better than others and are more successful at the end of that open house than others. So that's important too, to make sure, like, an open house, it's not just booking one, like there's a lot to it to make sure that you're getting things from it.
It's very important to mention this, because a lot of teams are running on online leads. And it's actually one of the things that we discussed with Mark as well, of how actually that diminishes the value of your team, and how important it is to go after the sellers, because sellers come indirectly with buyer leads, and you're basically putting an effort into advertising for one side of the business, and you get both of them. So it's very, very important. I think there was actually a ratio, and I can't remember right now, I have it somewhere. If your business comes more than 30% from online leads, your value of your business goes down by an astonishing amount, that I didn't even know that that's how they evaluate when you want to sell a business.
Interesting.
And not only that, but the fact that you're constantly relying on a third party on the quality of the leads, but also on them, you know, fluctuating that lead per lead dollar, that we've seen, especially in the last couple of years.
But also with online leads, you need to know they're selling that lead to multiple people. Correct. Multiple people are getting that lead, whether they admit it or they don't admit it. It's happening. We see it happen all the time. So for us, so like when you're battling these different teams, well, you always have to assume anybody that reaches out to you that you're in competition, because that's just the reality of today. People are looking at multiple options. So you have to be so ready. And this is a big thing that we're always preaching to the agents and teaching them about that value proposition, because you get that online lead in, and that might be the only thing that some agents can afford as a lead generation, because they can't afford to compete in a traditional advertising space. So I get that. You know, if that's all you can afford, it's better than nothing. At least you're taking action and you're working it. But you have to, your value proposition has to be so on point, so that when that lead comes in and you assume, okay, probably, let's say 3 other agents have also received this same lead. When you're calling that agent back to service them, how fast have you called them back? Okay, first of all, have you called them? Second, how fast are you calling them back? What are you saying? Are you just answering their question? They're getting off the phone. Why should they work with you? What's your excitement level like? If you don't reach them, are you sending a video to follow up? What does your follow-up look like?
Yeah.
Like there's all these elements to that lead that if you are investing in online leads, you have to have so much figured out before then, so that you know exactly what your action plan is.
I always said that, you know, tons of agents coming through my coaching program, and they're going straight into, I want to do Facebook ads. And I always said, unless you sold quite a number of transactions, closed quite a number of transactions, going into online leads, it's going to just be a waste of your money, because online leads are not easy. You definitely need to know exactly what to say and how to say it, and your follow-up system has to be on point. So you're absolutely
Yeah, it's frustrating, because you think, my goodness, like this guy called me, this guy reached out to me. Why is it taking me an average of 20 contact attempts to connect with them? Well, that's just our reality.
Most agents don't even go past the second contact. But yeah, and it's so much different. Like 20 is the average. Yeah. What's your
Yeah, we've got an agent on our team. And he's an agent that started fresh with us last January, worked his butt off, like insane work ethic, landed in the top 16 by the end of the year. Now he's in, I think, the top 5 or 6. Anyways, his average contact attempts on his whole entire database, which is hundreds of contacts deep, he has an average of 17 contact attempts in 30 days with all of them. That's what you strive for. Like, that's what you got to get to. And if someone like this kind of gets into like disc profiling and stuff like that, but like a lower D, like, and if you haven't done a disc profile, you could send me an email and I could send you a link, or I'm sure there's assessments you could do online. But basically a lower D personality would be like, oh, you know, I don't want to bother this person, or I don't want to inundate them with information. I don't think they're interested. They didn't respond to me last. You have to just slap that out of your mind and say, okay, they've called me. It's my duty to get back to them. If I don't get a hold of them, they're going to be thinking that I dropped the ball. So I have to do whatever it is in my power to make sure. Also, you have to have confidence in yourself and say, there is nobody better to handle this client than me. I know that. So I have to now, at some point, in some way, articulate that to this client so they know they're in the best hands with me. So, it might be, hey, someone calls, oh my gosh, you're blowing up my phone. You've called me, 5 times in the last week. Hey, I am passionate about real estate. This is how, you've called me. It's my duty to make sure that I get in touch with you. And you can see how hard I worked for that first contact. Yeah. Imagine how hard I work for you as your agent. So
there's actually a stat on that shows that you lose 1 client out of 100 clients for so-called over follow-up, for excessive follow-up, and the follow-up should be at least 3 times a day until you actually reach them, in the morning, at lunch, and then in the evening, and depending on when they have time to answer. And 1 out of 100 potential clients will be annoyed by that, and they would end up not working with you because they feel like you're harassing them, but you get 99. So I think
that's funny. Actually, a funny Rob story. So Rob, he's basically, he's in production. Like, he's in production as a supporting role now. But like, leads don't actually go to him anymore, but this was back when they did. So I'd given him a home bell, and he called it right away. They didn't answer. Called back. He did the double dial. They didn't answer. A couple hours, he's text. So that day, like, he's not reaching this client. It's like hurting his brain. So the next day he tries again. He's calling, he's texting, still not connecting. So he goes to their house and knocks on their door. And the husband answers the door, and he goes, Golfy, you got some nerve showing up here. You didn't even call me back yesterday. And he's like, what? Like, I look at my phone, like, I've called you, I've texted you. So then he goes, honey, did Rob call back? Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, he did call a couple times. Well, if he didn't go knock on that door, that guy would have been at, Tim Hortons having coffee with his buddies saying, that Golfy, he's arrogant, he's too busy for me, all this sort of thing. Like, you have to just be so aggressive with it.
Yeah, 100%. How big is the team right now, and what's your attrition rate, and what's the average time on the team for an agent?
so actually I have to get that stat. I don't have that one, but our team size right now, we have about 75 agents on the team, about 30 employees. So we're just over 100 people all in. Our leadership team has 6 people on it. And our attrition rate for agents is between 25 and 30% every year. So you are like, we follow the Chat Black Bible of always, recruiting, because there is always going to be that natural turnover. Most often the turnover is our decision, but yes, sometimes people do leave on their own as well for various reasons. And the average tenure on the team, we have very loyal agents. Like we just had our awards in the spring. We had an agent celebrating her 15 years. We have a number of agents over 10 years now, lots of agents over 5 years. And what are we in next year? Okay, so starting next year, we're going to have lots of 5-year ones, because we really started recruiting heavier in 2020. So over the next couple of years, we're going to have a lot more 5-year trophies to be handing out.
And what are your
so
recruiting buckets? Where do you advertise? Do you call agents? Do you use social media for that purpose? Events? What are your recruiting buckets?
It's quite simple. There's probably a lot more we could do. The only place we spend money is on Pass It, and I think we only spend like $50 a month or something on that. So Pass It is that testing site. So we'll get a few leads a month from there. We have a full-time recruiter. Her name's Candace, and she's lovely. And so she does a lot of outbound and nurturing and things like that. We very rarely, like, I think we've done a few social media campaigns over the years, but we have nothing regular going. Bad on me, we should. But we do have a lot of inbound. I think it's just, our branding, it kind of plays into our recruitment as well. So we're very fortunate and to have a lot of inbound inquiries into the team. And then our team is also amazing recruiters. So, they're kind of like raving fans, and we have recruitment programs set up for them. So if after 6 months, an agent is still successfully on the team, they'll get $1,000. So we have a referral fee. So we'll get a few a year of those. But yeah, so Candace, I would say we probably have, 15 to 20 incoming leads a week that she's doing Zooms for, and, some of them nurturing long-term. And then the rest of it would be outbound stuff that, also sometimes agents will be like, oh, I just did a deal with this agent and it was really amazing. They were great to work with. You should contact them. So then I'll tag Candace and say, hey, jump in. And now we also, if somebody is in the recruiting space, obviously with your brokerage, you guys are doing a lot of that. We manage that in Follow Boss as well. So all the agents, so Candace is also our recruiter, is also working in Follow Boss.
And what's the system you mentioned? Pass It?
Pass It. Yeah. So Pass It, it's a site that people can use while they're getting their real estate license. And there's practice tests on there. So basically, while they're doing their practice tests, you'll see like different big brokerages have ads on there. It's just so inexpensive that
okay, so you put your ads in there, and then
it'll say
it will show up. Got it.
Yeah. So I don't know how many impressions of that we get. Yeah. So it's like yeah. So that Pass It would be a great option for you guys for recruiting for sure. Passit.com, because it is reasonable for sure.
Got it. And for example, in order for someone to be part of Golfi team, is there a certain amount of, they can be brand new agents, or they have to have a certain amount of deals closed?
They can be brand new. We bring on existing agents and we bring on brand new agents. It really depends on the agent. This is why, like they always talk about like building your company in a way that you can like replace yourself. This is where I'm like a crazy control freak, because a lot of my recruiting is like my gut, and like I like good people, and I know that building a culture and a large organization or a small organization, it's very fragile. And one bad apple can really spoil the
how
bunch.
do you build a culture at 90 agents, at 100 people organization? How do you build it?
Now, thankfully, Rob, he believes in it just as much as I do. So I would love to, you know, I actually am curious at the end of this year to see the P&L on like how much he is putting into that. It would be hundreds of thousands of dollars in different events and stuff, because they are, it's expensive when we're running an event for 100 people now. So we try, the team loves to get together. We try and just create a fun, uplifting environment. We understand that agents need to be entertained. So for our quarterly meetings, our weekly meetings are on Zoom. 4 times a year, we bring the whole team together in person for our quarterly meetings. This is an EOS meeting. It's called SOCA, State of the Company Address. It's where we talk about where we've been, where we are, where we're going, and we bring the whole team. We meet at the movie theater, get them popcorn pop, have lots of videos, do objection battles, entertain them basically for that time. Everyone just, it's like a love fest, you know, everyone just, you know, loves seeing each other. It's hard, you know, the movie theater is like practically kicking us out at the end when our time is up and things like that. We have our next event is a softball tournament. So we've got that running. We've got a golf tournament. We have our annual awards. We have our Christmas parties, different luncheons. So we try and just have a lot of fun together, it's important for sure.
Are all agents buyer and listing agents, or they need to qualify to become listing agent, and how that process goes?
Yeah. So our agents can all do both. We don't have a listing team and a buyer team. Obviously our newer agents or agents lacking experience in listing properties need more support. But so we do have different programs in place, like closers programs where you could bring an agent to tag along with you to help you close that. Those are effective. But for me, I think it's really important for their development. I've had agents who have 5+ years experience in the business come to our team and have no idea how to list a property. And I think that's just such a disservice to them. It's like their confidence is down and things like that. So I've just seen, I'm sure it works great for certain teams. I don't see it as part of our future. But at the same time, like I mentioned earlier, there is a matchmaking process. So I'm not giving that. We've got thousands of leads that come in a month. I would say 5% of those leads at max are, hey, home eval, I want to list my house. Can someone come give me home evaluation? So 95% of our leads go out on round robin. Basically, we're just hitting a button and follow up boss, and it's going to the next person in that area. But those 5% of those leads, those still come to Claudel, our sales manager, and her and I basically match make them. We look at the area. Has anybody recently sold in that street? Does anybody live around there? Let's look at the description. Oh, they're looking for a shark. Oh, they're looking for someone who's not too pushy. Oh, you know, it's an estate sale. Oh, it's a divorce. And we think, okay, this person's really effective in these scenarios. Oh, this person's very nurturing. They're a good fit that way. So those leads, although everybody can both work with buyers and sellers, not everybody gets those seller leads
from the company.
And they kind of have to prove themselves over time. There's no, like I mentioned, that agent that came in last year, he didn't get them out the gates, but my goodness, he got on that list faster than many people because he was proving himself. So I'm happy to do that. Now there's some people on the team that have been on the team for 5 years and still are receiving those. They've listed many houses over the time, but they're just not at that point.
Well, and I want to be mindful of your time. If I can squeeze in there 2 more questions. What's your accountability with the team? Does the team have, it's mandatory that they're at the meetings that you mentioned, there's accountability on follow-up boss, and a little bit, if you can go over that, that would be fantastic.
Sure. So for meeting accountability, it is mandatory that they're at our weekly team meeting, which is Tuesday mornings on Zoom, and then 4 times a year in person, so that they have to attend. There are many other opportunities to learn throughout each week that are voluntary but highly encouraged. Like Rob does a Monday morning mastermind. We have regular lunch and learns. We have role play clubs. Right now we have the agents are online right now, I think, for we've hired in an external coach to do a 10-week boot camp with them. So we have all these different, so on that one, 42 of our 75 agents signed up for that accountability program. So there's different things that are not mandatory. And then as far as in Follow Up Boss, that was a huge, like, that moved the dial for us majorly. You have to have accountability in your CRM system. And ours is, it's stage based. So agents have to stage their contacts in their database by A, B, C, or D. And then there's a cadence, like a communication, like a follow-up cadence that's attached to that. So their A clients have to be communicated with at least once a week. B clients bi-weekly, C clients monthly, D clients 3 to 6 months. And if they fall behind on those minimum standards of communication, then they're paused on incoming leads until they catch up again. Yeah. So basically we're going in every day and pausing and unpausing agents.
Yeah. I'm going to go over just very quickly, like 3 seconds answers. Do you use ISAs?
Yes, we have 4 in-house ISAs.
Got it. Do you have showing agents?
We have a showing agents program, like our agents who want to pick up extra cash will do it. Yeah.
Got it. Do you, what's it called? Do your team members pay their percentage with the company separately? They're in charge of paying their monthly fees or transaction fees with the company separately?
It's a bit of a combination of both. Yeah, it's shared.
It's shared.
So yeah, it's shared.
So basically some of them are paying less just because they're part of a team.
Yes. So like Rob pays some of the fees for each agent. So agents don't have to pay all of their fees themselves.
How do you deal with the database upon departure of some of the team members?
So basically, we take their SOI, their sphere, put it in do not contact, or we'll export it to them if they need a copy of it. And then we reassign the leads, the team supplied leads to other agents.
Got it. And the last question, I have more questions, but we've run out of time. How do you guys use social media, and does social media plays a role within your organization?
Yeah, social media. So we have a social media coordinator. She's amazing. She's really grown our followers. I don't think I could answer that question well, because I don't know how she's doing it, but our engagement and our followers are always increasing. So just give Golfy Team a follow, and you can just see kind of some of the content that we're putting out. But lots of reels, lots of videos, making sure you've got the engagement and things like that.
And do you use the social media for generating buyers and seller leads, or for awareness of your brand and for agents mostly?
It's more the brand. We have a separate account, Golfy Listings. So we have 2, you could follow both. So Golfy Listings has all of our listings, and Golfy Team. What we found is sometimes if we were posting a lot of listings on the main page, we would see followers decrease. And so we felt, because we have such a high volume of listings, like we'll list over 100 a month. So it would be just slamming our account. So we had to take them off, and now both of them are growing nicely.
Got it. Well, I can't thank you enough for taking the time to be here, and especially that you're not feeling 100%, but trust me, it sounded like 1,000,000%. We're so thankful to have you here. If anybody wants to reach out to you, where they can find you?
So I'll put my email and my cell phone number in here.
Yeah, that would be
yes, reach out anytime. If I wasn't able to answer some, I see there's some questions in here.
More than happy if you have the time, just go over.
I have time. Yeah, I have time. And then if anybody has to go, jump on.
So one of the questions here was the agent turnover is 25%. Is that right? That's
yes, 25 to 30% a year. And that, like, so it's interesting because that was the number that the average team turnover is, and it's like almost bang on that every year. It's weird.
Do you charge agents to be in your team for all the system you use, follow up, boss issue, and so on?
No.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? If anybody has a question, just unmute yourself and she can answer to you right now.
Hi, Holly. You mentioned the book Traction. Who was the author
Yes.
again?
Gene Wickman. I don't have a copy of Traction, but this is Rocket Fuel. So I'll put his name in the chat. So Traction. There's probably like a million YouTube videos and stuff like that that you can watch too. And I would still get, like, even if you're not going to use a coach, like, still get the free analysis. And then you can do it on your own after if you want, but you might as well take advantage. Yeah, it's good. And then so there's one called, I haven't read it yet, but What the Heck is EOS is another one. They've got like a huge library of books. They've got Process.
But Traction and
How to Be a
Rapid
Good Boss. Yeah,
These
Traction
are the
and Rocket.
most popular. Yeah. And then the system you use to implement that is 90, right?
90, yeah. Commission splits for agents are their standard 60-40 on sellers, 40 to the agent, but we're paying all the expenses, and 50-50 for buyers.
If a client asks for a rebate, like I want, I'm selling with you, does it come from the agent side or is impacting you?
No rebate. No rebates.
No rebates. So if anybody would like to give rebates, it will have to come out of their own pockets after.
Yes, but we've never had a rebate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny because there's teams that accommodate that, and I wanted to see where you stand.
Yeah. You know what? I think we have to, like, we're in like this weird spot right now in this industry that, like, it's almost like we really need to band together and be strong, because like, I have these conversations with agents that come in that are on their own, and this, like, Andrea, most people on the call, would they be individual agents?
No, they're actually team leaders. Yeah, most.
Okay, team leaders. Well, okay, the message is still the same, because we're still, like, we're seeing team leaders really dropping commissions and stuff like that too. There is, like, it's going to be destructive to your profit margins. We have, like, it is worth it. So what your standard listing commission, 5%. Our standard listing commission, I would say it's averages at 4.5%. Like, we're getting anywhere from 4 to 5% on the listings. We have other teams that are getting 3.5, 3.75. We cannot do that. We can't go in that direction. There has to be a better value proposition, more demonstration, because, like, these people are just losing money. And sometimes, we have these split conversations. So if you're recruiting people as well, this is a very important conversation to have, is to work that math out, because, I'll sit down with an agent who's on their own, who is getting bullied down to 3%, 1% on their end, because they're in our area, not in Toronto. And so they'll get 1% on our end. And here, they've got the more expenses than ever. That client wants Matterport, they want video, they want staging, they want all, they want the, full service, but they don't want to pay that full service. And people are getting bullied down, and then they're losing money. They're hard costs to running this business. And we have to make sure that we are better. We need to be better salespeople. We need to be better communicators. We need to provide better service, so that people see value in our commissions, and we're able to maintain them so that we can run profitable businesses.
Have you seen a lot of from my experience, and could be very particular, not a general, but I've seen a lot of the teams that run on online leads and buyer leads that they're actually giving rebates, are the same that they're giving rebates, where very listing agent teams, they're not considering. I also seen when this trend of offering 2.25 or 2% of cooperating brokerage, and we always offer 2.5, regardless that we are in an area where a lot of agents offer 2.25 or to just 2%, and sellers are, you know, intrigued of why other agents are offering 2.25 or 2%, and we're standing firm on 2.5% on a cooperating and 2.5 on us. But have you seen a lot of the cooperating offering the 2.25 or 2%?
So in Hamilton, like Holland, Brantford, Niagara, in our area, 2% is the normal here. So we haven't had much of that challenge just because we're further out of Toronto. But I can tell you, we win every single day, all the time. We win listings and we're the most commission.
Yeah.
So you do not have to lower your commission. You need to work on your skills, basically. So, you know, we've got, you know, a listing going up at 5%, that person could have listed at 3.5, but we were able to show them that there's more value in working with us. I will make you back that 1.5 in, you know, the sale of your home, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, and it usually goes hand in hand, because if you have the power to negotiate the 5% with your seller, you probably have the same power of negotiating higher price for the listing, and you're not bending at the first, you know, call of lowering.
Yeah. Yeah, it's also a demonstration of your negotiation skills. Absolutely.
100%. One more question before we wrap it up. What is the proportion for referrals and new clients?
I don't know what we're part of lots of different networks, so we get quite a few referrals in. I don't know that number. I'm sorry. I'm not sure.
What's the name of the system you're part of?
Oh, we're part of Cross Canada Referrals, CCR. That's a Remax group. They're all Remax referral groups.
Got it. Referral groups.
Yeah, and then I think it's just, you know, when you build a team so large, like, you know, there's lots of other, you know, an agent on the team has somebody in Ottawa that's referring the business, and it just kind of tail spins from there. So there's a lot of just like referrals by size and stuff like that too.
Thank you again for being here. And if you have any questions, you know where to reach her at, and go follow her, because you're really amazing. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you. I appreciate your time. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.